Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another Neopets pattern. So I previously made a Kachik and a few people really liked that, and I know a few people made it and they sent me pictures, which is really cool. And I've had a few more Neopets requests, and one of them came from Baby Bunny on Instagram, and she wanted me to make Poogle, so that's what I'm doing in this video. So I've made the striped version here, so this is the first one that I made, and then in the video I've just made the yellow version with you now. So this is what it looks like. So it's got the stripes on it, got little tail, the ears, and the felt details for the eyes. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in whatever colours you need for whatever Poogle that you're deciding to make. So I'm making the yellow Poogle, so my main colour is going to be yellow and my secondary colour is going to be orange, but you just use whatever colours match the Poogle that you're going to be making. Then you'll need felt in black, white and your secondary colour, and that will be for the eyes. You'll also need some black embroidery thread, that will be for the mouth and the eyebrows details. You'll need some fabric glue to glue down your felt. I'm just using Fabri-Tac here. You'll need some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but that's just to demonstrate. You'll need some scissors, your crochet hook. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn, but if you are using a heavier or lighter weight of yarn, you can size up or down as required. You'll need a yarn needle to sew pieces together. You'll probably want a stitch marker. I've just got an offcut of yarn here. And finally, you'll probably want some pins to sew everything together as well. It just helps to keep things in place while you're sewing. So yep, that's everything that you'll be needing for this tutorial. We're going to start off making the head. So in your main colour yarn, you're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. And then just pull on that tail to close up the hole. So that's round 1, and then for round 2 you're just going to increase in all of those single crochets, and that will get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so at the end of round 2 you should have your 12 single crochets all the way around. I'm going to talk you through the next few rounds now, as it's just a mixture of single crochets and increases in each round. So round 3 is single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you up to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6, 4 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, single crochet all the way around. Round 8, 8 single crochet increase, repeat that 3 more times to get you up to 40 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 9 to 12 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 13, as I want to place a couple of extra stitch markers in this round, and I'll show you what I mean when we get to that round. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. So I'm just about to start round 13 now, and as I mentioned, I want to show you how to do this round because I want you to place an additional stitch marker in this round just to help you kind of pinpoint where the middle of the face is, and that will help you when you're placing the face details later, because the increases are specifically positioned in this round to create a particular head shape. So to start off with, we're going to do 9 single crochets, and I am going to mark my first single crochet as normal, but just make sure that you have an additional stitch marker ready for a bit later on in the round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, oops, 7, 8, 9, then 2 increases, then 7 single crochets, then 4 increases, but between the second and the third increase, that's where you want to add your additional stitch marker. So this is my first increase, this is my second, this is going to be my third increase, and before I finish the increase I'm just going to place my stitch marker now. Okay, and I'm just going to finish off that increase, and then this is my 4th increase. Then you're going to work 7 single crochets, then 2 increases, and then 9 single crochets, and that should take you to the end of the round. Okay, so that's the end of round 13. You should now have 48 single crochets, and you're going to leave this blue stitch marker right up until you get to the point where you've stuffed the head and you've started adding the face details, because as I mentioned, that's going to help you a bit later on. But your normal stitch marker at the beginning of the round, you can continue taking that out and replacing that every round. So now for rounds 14 to 17, you're just going to single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 18, as we're going to start doing some decreases. I'm ready to start round 18, and as I mentioned, we're going to be doing some decreases now. So you're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets. And then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and that will get you down to 42 single crochets at the end of round 18. I'm going to talk you through the remaining rounds until we need to stuff the head, just so that you can just carry on with those yourself, because I've now shown you how to do the decrease. So for round 19, it's going to be 5 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 36 single crochets. Round 20, 4 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 30 single crochets. Round 21, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets. And then finally round 22, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18 single crochets. So I'll meet you at the end of round 22, as we then need to stuff the head. I've just completed round 22, and as you can see, I've now added my stuffing. You want to stuff the head quite firmly, so this is what it looks like. And as you can hopefully see as well, the reason that we place that stitch marker is just to mark the middle of the face here, because as you can see, there's a little bit of extra pronouncedness of this part of the head, which is meant to kind of be where the nose would sit on the head. So hopefully yours looks somewhat similar to this. But yeah, once you've finished that and you've finished stuffing, you're just going to want to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. I always leave quite a long tail just to be on the safe side. So that is the crochet part of the head complete. Obviously we've still got to add the face details, but I prefer to do that after we've already got to the position where we've sewn the head to the body, just so that we can then make sure that everything's positioned nicely and accordingly. So that's that. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is making the ears. So for this you're going to start off by making the inner ear pieces, and that's going to be made using your secondary colour. So if you grab that, let's get started with that now. So I've already gone ahead and made one of the inner ear pieces, so it's just kind of a triangle shape, and you're going to want to make 2 of these in total. So I've got my secondary colour, which is orange, and we're going to be working in rows for this. So to start off with, you're going to chain 9. And then you're going to, starting from the second chain from hook, so this one here, work 8 single crochets down this chain. You can work in the front loops of the chain, or you can work in the back loops. It's just up to your personal preference. I'm going to be working in the back loops. Okay, so that's the first row completed. As you can hopefully see, I crocheted over the tail as well, just to secure that in place a little bit. Just going to pull on that slightly now to make the end of the row a little bit neater. So now we're ready to start row 2. So for row 2, you're going to chain 1, turn, and then you're going to work a decrease to start with, then 4 single crochets, and then finish off with another decrease. So that gets you down to 6 single crochets at the end of row 2. I'm just going to talk you through the remaining rows because it's just a mixture of decreases and single crochets in each row. And at the beginning of each row, you're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 3, chain 1, turn, decrease, 2 single crochet, decrease. Row 4, chain 1, turn, 4 single crochet across. Row 5, chain 1, turn, 2 decrease. Row 6, chain 1, turn, single crochet across, and then row 7, chain 1, turn, decrease. So I'll meet you when you've just finished row 7. So I've just finished my second inner ear piece here. This is what it looks like. So once you finish row 7, you just want to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And then also cut that tail that you crocheted over. So we're going to place these to the side now because they're ready to sew down to the ears, but obviously we haven't made the ears yet, so that's going to be the next thing that we do. So grab your main colour and come back. So once again, I've already gone ahead and made one of the ears. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it's worked in rounds up until you reach this point, and then we just work a few rows here, and that just helps to get the right shape when we sew this ear down to the head. So to start off with, we're going to do 3 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. So that's round 1. And then for round 2, you're just going to increase in each of those single crochets, and that will get you up to 6 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so that's round 2 completed, and if you need some help shaping your piece, then what sometimes I like to do is put the other end of my crochet hook inside and just kind of smooth the piece over the crochet hook, and that just starts to get you your sort of circular shape here as you're going around. And I just do that every couple of rounds for the first few rounds, but then once you get towards the last few rounds, then you should already have that shape. So that is the first 2 rounds. I'm just going to talk you through the remaining few rounds, as again it's just mixtures of single crochets and increases, and then I will show you when I get to the point where we need to start working some rows. So for round 3, you're going to single crochet all the way around. Round 4, single crochet increase and repeat twice more to get you to 9 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, single crochet all the way around. Round 6, 2 single crochet increase and repeat twice more to get you to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, single crochet all the way around. Round 8, 2 single crochet increase and repeat that 3 more times to get you up to 16 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 9, single crochet all the way around, and then round 10, 3 single crochet increase and repeat 3 more times to get you up to 20 single crochets at the end of round 10. So I'll meet you when you finish that, as we're then going to work those rows that I mentioned. Just finished round 10 and I'm ready to do my rows now. So for row 1, we're just going to turn, we're not going to chain 1, and we're just going to work 10 single crochets. Then for row 2, you're going to chain 1, turn, and you're going to do a decrease, then 6 single crochets, and then another decrease, and then for row 3, which is the final row, you're going to chain 1, turn, and just do 4 decreases. And that's it. So then you just need to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. Okay, so once you've got your 2 ears and your 2 inner ear pieces, come back and I'll show you how to sew these together. I've just sewn down one of the inner ear pieces to one of the ears, as you can see here, and I'm going to start the other one with you now. So you want to make sure that you're sewing it down to the side of the ear that doesn't have the rows on it, so the shorter side. And we're just going to be starting at the top. I'm going to be doing a running stitch for this, so I'll show you the first few stitches. So I'm just going to go into a yellow loop, then into another nearby yellow loop, and back out through an orange loop. Then I'm going to go orange, yellow, and then yellow, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, orange. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way around until I reach back where I started. So I finished sewing the piece down, so I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the ear, and then I'm going to cut that. Okay, so this is what your completed ears should look like. So now I'm going to show you how to sew the ears down. As you can see, I've already done this one, so I'm going to do the other one with you now. All I've done so far is just placed a pin roughly where I want the top part of the ear to sit. So it's roughly at round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that you want to position the top part of the ear at, and that should help you get started with sewing that down. So I've just turned the head, and now I've got my piece. I've got my yarn needle. I'm just going to be positioning that, trying to make it roughly in line with what I've done on the other side, like this. You can pin the ear down if you want, but I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm just going to be whip stitching all the way around. So I'm going to start off doing the top row. And I can probably get rid of that pin now. And before I go any further, I'm just going to double check that I'm still happy with the positioning of that ear. And I think I am, so I'm going to continue on. So now I'm going to be just sewing down the sides of the ear. I'm going to be whip stitching all the way around. Okay, so that's that side done. Now that we've come to the point where we're going to start sewing the bottom part of the ear down, I am going to add some stuffing, so you'll want to do that as well. I'll come back when I've got my stuffing and I'll show you me sewing the rest of it down. So I've added some stuffing. I am probably going to add a little bit more later on, but for now that will do. And I'm just going to start whip stitching down the bottom part of the ear. Just going to do another check of positioning to make sure that looks fine, and I think it does. If it doesn't, you can always just undo the last few whip stitches that you did and redo them in a position that you like. Nearly done with the bottom part. Okay, so that bit's completed. Now the final thing that we need to do is just sew up the edge here of the ear. And before I do that, I am going to add a little bit of extra stuffing just to this top part here where the rows are, because we want that to be stuffed as well. Might add just a little bit more. Okay, that should do it. So now I'm just gonna whip stitch along the side. Okay, so now both of my ears are sewn down. I'm happy with the positioning of those. I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the head. You could do this a few times if you want it to be extra secure, but I'm just going to be displaying this somewhere, so I'm pretty happy that that's secure enough for the purposes of what I'm using this for. So I'm just going to cut that yarn tail. So once you've sewn down the two ears, your head should look something like this. We're now going to move on to making the body. So for the body, you're going to be wanting your main colour again, and for rounds 1 to 7 they're going to be exactly the same as what we did for the head, so I'm not going to bother showing you again, and I'll just put them up on screen now in case you've forgotten. But effectively we're just starting from a magic circle of 6 and doing an increase of 6 in each round all the way up to round 7, when we will have 36 single crochets. So I'll meet you when you've got to the end of round 7. So I got to the end of round 7 and this is what the body's looking like. For rounds 8 to 17, so 10 rounds in total, you're going to single crochet all the way around. Then for round 18, you're going to do 4 single crochet decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 19, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. And then round 20, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. I'll meet you at the end of round 20, as we then need to stuff the body firmly, and then there'll just be a couple more rounds left to do. So I got to the end of round 20, this is what the body's looking like, and I've added some stuffing, so you just want to make sure that you're stuffing firmly. And then we're going to do the final 2 rounds. So round 21, single crochet decrease, and repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you down to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Then round 22, decrease all the way around, and that'll get you down to 6 single crochets at the end of round 22. I'll meet you when you finish that, as we then just need to close up the hole, and then we're going to be sewing the head to the body. So I've just finished the final round. This is what it's looking like. So we're now just going to close that hole up. So if you cut your yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, and then just grab your yarn needle. We're just going to weave this tail through the front loops only of each of those final 6 stitches. And just pull as you do so. Okay, so now that hole should be closed up, you can just weave your yarn tail through the body and snip that. Okay, so this is the body, quite a simple piece, and now we're ready to sew the head to this. So I've got my head and the body now, and I'm going to be sewing this down. I'm roughly positioning my head between about rounds 2 to 9 of the body, so you're going to want to try and position it about the same for yourself as well. You can pin the head down if you would like to, but I'm just going to be holding it in place with my hand, and just sewing down and checking the positioning every few stitches that I do. So similarly to how I sewed down the ears, I'm just going to be doing whip stitching all the way around the head. So I'll just show you the first few, and then I'll skip to when I've finished the whole thing. So I'm just whip stitching, pulling tight as I do, and just double checking the positioning as I go around as well. So yeah, I'm just going to finish doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you when I've finished that. So I've just finished sewing the head all the way around, as you can see. Now you could sew around another time just to make it extra secure, but as you can see, when I move this around, the head doesn't really like jiggle around too much, so this feels quite secure to me. So I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the body, and then I'll snip that. So now that that's complete, the next thing we're going to do is to add the face details with our felt and our black embroidery thread. So the eyes are going to be made out of felt pieces, so here's what mine look like. All you need to do for this is to cut out two oval shapes in your white felt. Then you want to cut out two kind of black pieces that are almost just over half the oval, like this. Then you want to cut out two quite small ovals in your secondary colour, and then finally two small white circles to go on top like this, and that's how you're going to layer your eyes. So you're going to want to glue down all of those pieces first, and then once all the eyes are glued down, then you're going to actually glue them to the head, and I'll show you that in a second. I've just glued the eyes down. As you can see, the bottom of the eye is roughly in line with where we placed the stitch marker, maybe just one round above it. And then the eyes are about two or three single crochets apart from each other. So that's what it looks like now. So you can probably take out the stitch marker at this point, because I think it's basically served its purpose now, and we have placed the eyes properly. So now we're going to move on to adding the mouth and the eyebrows details with our black embroidery thread. So I'm going to start off by adding the eyebrows. I've got my black embroidery thread. I'm just going to add these a little bit above the eyes. So that's the first one, and then I'm going to do the other one. Okay, so that's the eyebrows done. Now we're going to do the mouth. So for the mouth, you want it to be slightly wider than the width of the two eyes from each other, so maybe one single crochet wider than that, and about 3 rounds below the eyes. So I'm just going to start that, and we're going to add a little line to either side of the mouth as well. So I'm just going to pull that out a little bit so that it's more of a smiling position than a kind of sad position. You could use a dab of glue if you wanted to as well, to kind of secure the middle of the mouth in place, but I think I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. So I'm just going to do a little line, as I mentioned, on the side of the mouth. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be happy with this positioning, but let's try it. We can always undo it if we don't like it. Yeah, no, as you can see, that's a little bit too far from where the mouth finishes. I want it to overlap, so I'm just going to reposition my yarn and try that again. Oh, sorry, my embroidery thread. So I might just move that down. To here. Okay, that looks like it's going to be more like it. Still a little bit far away, but if you kind of move it with your fingers, then you can position it a bit better. So yeah, I think I'm happy with the positioning on that side, so I'm just going to do the other side now. Okay, so that's what the mouth should look like when you're finished with it, and then you can just kind of do the same thing that I usually do, weaving the yarn tail through the head a little bit, sorry, not the yarn tail, the embroidery thread tail through the head a little bit, just to kind of secure it in place, and this one as well, and then you can snip that when you feel like that's been secured. So that's all the face details done, so I think now we're going to move on to making the legs. So we're obviously going to need to make 4 legs, and I've already made 3 of them here. I'm going to do the final one with you now. As you can see, this is kind of similar to the ears in that we work a number of rounds and then we just do a couple of rows at the end to create the kind of additional part at the top of the legs like this. So if you grab your main colour, let's get started. So for round 1, this time we're going to do 8 single crochets in a magic circle. And then for round 2, you're going to increase all the way around. That'll get you up to 16 single crochets at the end of the round. Okay, so that's the end of round 2 and you should have your 16 single crochets. For round 3, we're just going to single crochet all the way around, but in the back loops only, so just like this. Okay, so that's the end of round 3. Just going to talk you through the remaining rounds until we get to the part where we need to do rows. So for rounds 4 to 5, just single crochet all the way around, but in both loops as normal this time. Round 6, 2 single crochet decrease and repeat that 3 more times to get you down to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, single crochet all the way around, and then round 8, 4 single crochet decrease and repeat that once more to get you down to 10 single crochets at the end of the round. Okay, so I just finished round 8 and I'm ready to do my rows. So for the first row, we're just going to turn, again, don't chain 1, just work 6 single crochets. Then for row 2, chain 1, turn and then do a decrease, then 2 single crochets, and then another decrease. And that is it, just cut your yarn leaving a tail for sewing. And make 4 of these legs in total, and now I'm going to show you how to sew them to the body. As you can see, I've sewn down 3 of the legs and I'm going to do the final one with you now. So the 2 front legs, I've kind of positioned them roughly at round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the body, and then just sewn them down from that point onwards, and they're roughly about 3 single crochets or so down from where the head is positioned. And then this one that I've done at the back here is roughly 3 single crochets gap between the back leg and the front leg. So I'm going to do this final leg with you now. I'm going to add the stuffing once I've sewn round a little bit, and then I'm going to add a little bit of additional stuffing just before I almost finish sewing fully all the way around. So I'm just going to position this roughly where I want it, and then I'm going to start whip stitching this down. Sorry if you can hear my dog, he's eating something. Okay, so at this point I'm going to add some stuffing to the main part of the leg. This might be a bit too much actually, there we go. So I'm just going to push that in like that, and then I'm going to carry on sewing and add a bit more stuffing just before I completely finish sewing all the way around. Okay, so now I'm going to add a bit more stuffing to the part with the rose. So not a very big amount at all. Like that, and now we're just going to sew down the final edge of the leg. Okay, so just like that. Now leave the yarn tail, don't snip it yet, because I'm going to show you a little trick that you can do to help make the legs stick closer to the body. So if you want the legs to sit a bit closer to the body, all you need to do is just use any remaining yarn tail that you have. You could use an additional cut of yarn if you don't have enough tail left. Just kind of push it through to a little bit further down the leg, so maybe like here for example, and then what you can do is just push the yarn tail through to the other side like that, and then as you can see kind of sew it through one of the stitches on the other leg, and then bring it back through like this. And you can do that as many times as you need to do. I'm probably just going to get a couple more and just go like this. And that, like I say, just helps to keep the legs a bit closer positioned to the body. And I've done that on the front legs as well. So once you've finished sewing the legs down and doing that, you can then just weave the yarn tail through the body a bit to secure everything in place. And then that is that finished. So the final crochet piece that we need to do is to make the tail. The tail is a very simple piece with no different techniques required, so I'm just going to talk you through how I made this just now. So round 1 is 5 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, increase all the way around to get you to 10 single crochets at the end of round 2. Rounds 3 to 5, single crochet all the way around. Round 6, 3 single crochet decrease, and repeat that again to get you down to 8 single crochets. And then round 7 to 8, single crochet all the way around. Then stuff firmly and cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. I'm now going to show you how to sew this to the body. So I'm going to position the tail at the back of the body. You could pin it down if you want to, but I'm just going to hold it in place with my hand. And I'm just going to start whip stitching all the way around. If I can actually get my yarn needle in, there we go. I'm just going to whip stitch all the way around. so that's how the tail looks now that it's sewn down. You could sew down again if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it at doing one round of sewing. So we're nearly finished. You could just leave your Poogle like this. Sorry, I'm a bit zoomed in. Let me just zoom out and show you. So you could just leave your Poogle like this if you want to, but one thing that the Poogle does have is some stripes on some of the body parts. So the Poogle has 2 stripes on the head, 2 stripes on the body, 1 stripe on each of the legs, and then also a stripe on the tail as well. So I'm going to add those stripes in using my secondary colour, so this one, and I'll show you a bit of me doing that. You could do that with the yarn, you could do it with felt instead, or like I say, you could just leave it like this and not bother adding the stripes in. But yeah, I'm going to be doing it with the yarn because I tried a few different ways and this was my preferred way of doing it. And I'll just show you a few examples of me adding the stripes in, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I've finished. I've just done one of the stripes at the front of the head. I'm going to do the other one now and kind of show you how I do it. So I'm just doing lines basically with my yarn. I'm just doing one longer line in the middle and then 2 shorter lines either side of it. Oops. Okay, so that's the stripes at the front of the head. Now I think I'll probably move on to doing the legs next. So I've just gone ahead and added the stripes on each of the legs as well. I didn't bother filming it because it's exactly the same technique that I used up here, except this time I just did 4 strands for each of the legs. I can't remember if I did 4 or 5 for the head, but that's what the legs look like. So now I'm just going to do probably 2 more stripes, or maybe even just 1, I'm not sure, on the back, and then I'm going to do 1 on the tail, and I'll show you when it's finished. So this is what I've ended up with. I did 1 big stripe on the back that was 5 strands, then 1 smaller one that was only 3 strands, and then a 3-strand stripe on the tail as well. So this is the finished Poogle. I think it looks really cute. I'll show you a better view of this in a second, and that will be the end of the tutorial. So this is what my completed Poogle looks like. It does stand up, but you can't really see it from that angle, so this is just what it looks like. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!